Great to see you again. We have been busy looking at the top 8 draft decks. We just saw a clip of arch enemy there. I know your arch enemy is the New York Yankees, and that's mine too, pretty much.
My arch enemy is Dave Guskin.
There is that in-joke. So, let us tell you about the top 8 decks. Pretty exciting and pretty tense for some people as well. So, the 4 quarterfinals. Let's take you first of all to quarterfinal 1. Paula Vida Dama de Rosa, who we saw draft the black-green deck. He seems pretty happy.
He does seem pretty happy, and he got the cards he wanted. The plan for him was green and removal. He said if he didn't get Grixis, he wanted to be green and removal, and that's exactly what he did. He did not feel the need to splash blue for his mnemonic walls, which is something we think he was considering at some point in the draft, but feels like he has plenty of cards and has the tools to do well with that deck. He said simply, I like it.
So his deck could be a card out here or there, but something like Jiraga Tree Speaker, 2 Bloodthrone Vampire, Null Champion, Pawn of Alamog Token Generator, the 4/4 Arrogant Bloodlord, Awakening Zone, Ondu Giant, the 2/4, Wild Heart Invoker, Brood Warden that makes the tokens bigger, Jadi Life Strider, Artisan of Kozilek, the 10/9, Dreamstone Hedron, draw some cards, get you acceleration, and then Last Kiss, 2 Vendetta, Corpse Hatch, 2 Essence Feed, 2 Dread Drone, and Nakana Revenant. So that is 99%, that's what Paolo's deck is going to be in the quarterfinal. He faces Josh Utter-Layton from Channel Fireball.
So if Paolo's reaction to his deck was simply, I like it, when I talked to Josh, his reaction was a shake of the head and not good.
Yep, the players have a maximum of 30 minutes to build their decks. Most of the players were pretty much set on their deck around about the 5-10 minute mark. Most of them were sleeved at 15. Most of them had handed them in at 20.
We made the joke that they're not going to build their decks. They're going to just record them.
Yeah.
But Josh was really in the tank working on his deck and trying to figure out the right configuration of cards. He knew he wanted his Eldrazi conscription in there.
Yes.
But what were the other 21 or 22 cards going to be?
Yeah, so what it looks like he's ended up with, pair of Guard Gomazoas, 2 Seagate Oracle, a little bit of card advantage, Growth Spasm, pair of those, Wild Heart Invoker, Brood Warden, Stomper Cub, the 5/3 Trampler, Ulamog's Crusher, 8/8. He has got the Genesis, the green excess Gelatinous Genesis. So if he ever gets to 15 mana, that's 7 7/7s.
Right.
But if he gets to 30 mana, that's 6 6/6s. That might well get the job done. Or maybe even 11 mana, 5 5/5s might do. So Josh has what we might call the puncher's chance, because he has Eldrazi Conscription, he has Gelatinous Genesis. He's also got Domestication to steal something, Lay Bare, so he's going to try and counter something big on the other end, Eel Umbra, and then he's got this he's got a splash that is Stagger Shock, fine, you kind of expect that, that's removal, but Lust for War is in there as part of a 2-card splash. And
Lust for War is a tremendous card. We really saw the value of this card shoot up this weekend. It was a card people were overlooking very, very early in the draft format. One of the first people to say to me this card is phenomenal is Zvi Moshowitz. And as people drafted with him and as people saw it in action, and certainly in the New York community, people were like, oh, that card is really good.
Yeah, it's something that Gabriel Nassif was talking to me about as well, that it looks so clunky. And you're like, is this really? Is it ever going to do anything? And it really does.
Yeah.
So that is his splash, but he is not a happy man at all. Let's take you to quarterfinal 2. This is the Frenchman Guillaume Matignon against Brad Nelson. So Guillaume has ended up black-blue. His deck looks something like this. He's got Barliged Scorpion, a pair of Zoff Shade, so that's the kind of pump your way up. Cadaver Imp to bring something back. Frostwind Invoker, the 3/3 flyer. He has double Venerated Teacher, so if you're thinking about leveling, 2 teachers are sitting in his deck. He has Induced Despair, Deprive, which saw a lot of play during the block constructed, a pair of See Beyond, Narcolepsy, 2 Vendetta. He has Training Grounds, so another component piece of the leveler deck. But where are the levelers? Well, he's got Skywatcher Adept. He has, this was his open, Gruul Draz Assassin. So that can work its way up, give things -2/-2, or -4/-4.
And just to give you an idea of how his draft went, he went first pick Gruul Draz Assassin, second pick Training Grounds.
And he was away.
And he was going to be blue-black levelers. He's a little disappointed with the number of levelers he has in his deck.
Yeah, the last few.
He only has, I believe, like 5 or 6 levelers.
Yeah, he's got Zilliport Enforcer, a pair of Null Champion, and Lighthouse Chronologist, and then a Champion's Drake in the hope that sooner or later that'll be a 4/4 flyer.
But he did point out that his Training Ground is very, very good with his 2 Zoff Shades.
Indeed it is, because the activation gets 2 off, so it's just for black, is the pump.
So it basically becomes a Revenant. And black is a +2/+2.
Indeed it does. So he is playing Brad Nelson, the third of the Channel Fireball team. Now we know from on the floor that he opened up with a ton of red cards. This is an interesting one because it didn't look like it came together as it might have done from there.
We speculated that Brad was going to take the Kiln Fiends, but he, after taking 2 Stagger Shocks, but what he ended up doing is he actually considered a Kiln Fiend early, but ended up taking Overgrown Battlements instead of the Kiln Fiend. And said, I'm going to be green-red, I'm going to do this is going to be my plan. He was considering like the Distortion Strike Kiln Fiend combo. Didn't see any Kiln Fiends again for the first 2 packs, and then in the 3rd pack he's like, he's locked into a plan, and he felt like there were Kiln Fiends just going around super late.
Absolutely, there were. So this is most of his deck.
But that's not what he ended up playing.
No, it is not. Let's give you most of his deck. Prophetic Prism, 3 Lava Fume Invoker, so if the game goes long, 8 +3/+0 to everything. The pair of Stagger Shocks, Forked Bolt, Heat Ray, plenty of removal. Rapid Flame, so get rid of some tokens or little 1 toughness guys and you can't block. Brood Birthing, the Valakut Fireball, Switch Power and Toughness 1/7. Emrakul's Hatcher, the pair of Overgrown Battlements, BDM's mentioned. Kozilek's Predator, Ondu Giant. Little Black Splash for Essence Feed and Dread Drone, but there are 4 more cards in his deck. And I'm going to let BDM just take it from here.
So I walked over to Brad after deck construction. I was like, how is this deck working out for you? And he's like, a little bit of a sigh. He said, we're going to have fun. So we're going to have fun. The 4 remaining cards in his deck are a Skittering Invasion.
Okay, so that's 7 casting cost, get 5 Eldrazi tokens.
And 3 copies of Raid Bombardment.
Ooh.
So he is playing the Raid Bombardment deck, and he said, if I win the PT with this deck, I am going right out and buying a Pimp Cane. So I think we really need to root for Brad here, because
oh dear,
I want to see it.
Oh my good lord. Triple Raid Bombardment. That is going to be carnage if you can pull it off. Wow. Alright, let's take you to quarterfinal 3. This is the young Italian Andrea Giarola up against Katara Otsuka. Now Giarola has gone green-red, and it's a pretty traditional green-red kind of deck, isn't it?
Sort of. I mean, he has a lot of walls.
Yep.
And not a lot of attackers. I mean, he's sort of on the Vent Sentinel plan.
That's right. He's got 2 of those. He's got a Rage Nimbus. He's got Battle Rampart. He's got Overgrown Battlement. And, at the top end, he has a Palaka Worm, which is a great card. He's got Ulamog's Crusher, a little bit of removal, Might of Masses, Heat Ray he has, but not a lot of removal, really.
No, he doesn't. No. He has like you said, Life Shredder. He's got the War Chariot, so his walls can get in there.
Head downhill, +2/+2. Now, as for Katara Otsuka, quite a lot of players have little splashes in their deck. There are several in the top 8 who've done this. Now, if you want to know what a splash really looks like, Katara Otsuka's deck is that deck. So, here's the blue-white deck that he's playing. Hadda Spy Patrol, Halimar Wave Watch, Coreline Slinger, Ikiro Outrider, another leveler, Seagate Oracle, Dawnglare Invoker, the 2/1 flyer, a pair of Totem Guide Heartbeast.
Which should be pointed out as one of his favorite cards in this format. He feels is very essential to his draft strategy is to get the Heartbeasts and get all those sort of blue and white removal that you can fetch out of your deck with those. So Narcolepsy's guard duties. Umbras, to make your creatures more offensive.
He has Artisan of Kozilek, Sea Beyond, a Prophetic Prism, which turns out might be good news later on, Eel Umbra, a pair of Deprive, so he's going with the proper I actually want to counter your stuff, and then he has Luminous Wake, which is just one of these relatively unexciting auras, but
it's sort of the anti-Lustful War. Actually, I've seen this card. I've seen this card actually pick up a lot of steam in the last couple of weeks in terms of people's draft strategies.
Yeah, that's a good way of putting it. Survival Cache, Mammoth Umbra, and he has Keening Stone, the Mill artifact, so he's put that in his deck. But then his splash involves 2 Evolving Wilds. We've already mentioned the Prophetic Prism. And 2 Swamps. So the 2 Swamps, the 2 Evolving Wilds, and the Prophetic Prism are for 3 cards. Now this, my friends, is a splash.
He's got an Induced Despair, a Last Kiss, card you would reasonably see splashed, and he has the Drana.
Thank you so much.
Galastria Bloodchief.
Yep.
And I gotta tell you, when I walked over there early in deck construction, he also had Pestilence Demon in that splash pile.
Oh.
He took that one out pretty quickly, though.
Yeah, triple black, not so much. But he thinks he can get there with the double black, and if he can, that will be foolish.
Yeah.
Stupid, as you said in the draft. So that leaves us with quarterfinal 4, and this is Noah Schwartz up against Jeremy Neiman. So 6 colours to tell you about in this quarterfinal. Now, BDM, you said...
Start with Jeremy.
Okay, let's start with Jeremy. Let's tell you what he isn't playing. He's not playing white. He's playing everything else. Now, he's basically a green-red deck, so he's got 2 Beast Breaker of Bala Ged, so they can get up to 6/6 Trembles pretty quickly. Grotag Siege Runner. Pair of Aura Nalid. He was so pleased to get those very late.
He got those very late. He feels like it saved his deck. He has like 5 Umbras.
That's right, yeah. Brimstone Mage, Sporecap Spider, Lagat Lizard, as we head down Battle Rattle Shaman, Emrakul's Hatcher, Stomper Cub. Not too exciting, but as you say, he's got all these Umbras, and he's actually ended up splashing blue for a pair of Drake Umbra, so that's +3/+3, and to the air.
Yep.
And the 2 really exciting ones are the 2 Snake Umbras, because if you can get that on, who didn't like Ophidian?
Yeah, he was pretty. He felt like green was probably overdrafted at the table. Said he was taking removal out of packs with 3 green cards and then not seeing a single green card come back. So he was he feels like his deck could have been better, but feels like the Aura Nalids are good enough to possibly get him there.
Indeed. And finally, his opponent, the 2/4 drafter thus far on the weekend, Noah Schwartz. He was being told about blue-white leveling as maybe being a good idea.
He talked to Zvi before the draft. He talked to John, and Zvi has been very insistent that blue-white level is just the best archetype in this format to draft. He said people, and especially he feels like as you get to higher levels of competition, the pros are very dismissive of the strategy, don't really like it. We heard multiple players in this top 8 say, I don't want to be white because white means you need to be blue-white. He said it's going to be, the price is going to be right on this. You want this deck, you're going to get the good cards you want late. And, it paid off for Noah here.
It really did. He had 10 blue-white levelers, including Transcendent Master.
The Transcendent Master came at a price, though. He does not have a Venerated Teacher, which is really a card you want in this deck. It gives you, we've seen it give people, essentially the equivalent of 20 mana, on one turn. When you, level up guys, twice each, 3 different guys. But he has Time of Heroes, he has the Transcendent Master. His deck looks quite good.
It really does. All right. So much for the theory. It's time to put it all into practice. It's time for the quarterfinals. Welcome along to the top 8 of Pro Tour San Juan with me, the Pro Tour statistician Rich Hagan, and Pro Tour historian Mr. Brian David Marshall. 8 players remain of the 396 who set out on a journey on Friday morning. They drafted this morning and now we are ready for the quarterfinals. There you see Josh Utterlayton from Team Channel Fireball, the Magic Online Pro Tour qualifier winner, the 24-year-old from San Jose, California, and he is getting us underway in the quarterfinals with an island, and Paolo with the perfect turn 1 start. It is a forest into Jiraga Tree Speaker.
Jiraga Soul Ring.
Yeah, indeed. So Mountain for Josh on turn 2. Paolo says, I'm going to nip in. So the first damage is underway. Paolo adds a swamp.
Level after combat.
Yep, there we go. So the first level counter of 2010 goes on to the Jiraga Tree Speaker. And Josh is on the play.
This will probably be... Growth Spasm.
Yep.
So he's going to be a Guard Gomez. He seemed to have a lot of those in this draft.
Indeed he did. He's playing 2 of them, I believe. So we head back to Paolo once the shuffling is done. That's something that Josh doesn't do a lot of, because he has a
His
little...
shuffle muscles aren't fully developed.
Yeah, he has a little program to do it for him most of the time. So back we go to Paolo. There you see the life scores. Josh Adelaide 19.
He's at 18 now. We just attacked again
yep.
with the Tree Speaker.
And there is Arrogant Bloodlord, the 4/4. If it gets blocked by something little, it cowers in the distance.
It still gets to do its damage. It's not...
Yeah. So Josh will go 1, 2, 3, 4. That looks like Wild Heart Invoker.
Yep.
4-3. If he gets to 8, that will become extremely scary. And he's already well on the way to that. He has 6 right now. 5 lands. And that token off the Growth Spasm. So already you can see one of the features of Rise of the Eldrazi draft, the fact that there is mana everywhere you look. Here's Paolo on turn 4.
Dreamstone Hedron on 6.
Yep, so there we are. Turn 4 gets me 6. Next turn I have 3 extra. And he is already into Eldrazi territory, as it were. So no problems with mana for either player. Remember, we are the best of 5 here. It's always unique to the Pro Tour list, the best of 5 throughout the top 8. So plenty of chances, even if you get a little mana flood or mana problems, you can come back into it. It will not be over in 10 minutes. That is for certain.
Ancient Stirrings for Josh. We're going to see what he picked up.
So he gets to go have a look.
I'm sure he's hoping it's an Eldrazi conscription.
Yeah, seems like a reasonable play. I'd quite like to give something +10 and trample. And there you see one of the Eldrazi spawn tokens, one of the top 10 coolest cards that isn't even a card, as they say in the player's guide. So, Paolo says...
I'm going to draw 3 cards.
Yeah, I don't need the mana. I would just like 3 cards, thank you very much. And it looks like 3 action cards went into his hand there. Looks like 3 black cards went in. And he has a grip and a half full. In the biggest way. So tap.
Plays Pawnable the Monk.
So more token generation. And there's... So Josh is one of the calmest players on tour. He didn't seem that excited actually when he thought he'd made top 8. He got his 12th win with 2 rounds to go and was like, yeah, I think I can ID and... like, you got to be thrilled, right? And he said, well, you know, I haven't really done anything on the Pro Tour before. I couldn't buy a win. But now, yeah, it's all right. It's going to take a lot to get him excited if he claims the trophy.
He cracked a smile in the deck tech when we were talking about making the top 8.
Okay.
A small one. We didn't see any teeth, but, you know,
all right.
The corners of his mouth definitely went up.
A little twitch.
So we see a Lust for War has been put on the derogatory speaker.
Yep, so that will have to attack, and...
or he can use it for mana, but now even when he uses it for mana, it's going to deal 3 damage to him.
3 damage will hit.
It's really just kind of like a contaminated bond at the moment.
So Wild Heart Invoker and Token for Josh.
We already have a result on one of the other tables.
And this is Guillaume Matignon 1-0 up over Brad Nelson in double quick time. The blue-white levelers, the leveling, getting it done. Blue-black levelers indeed, for Guillaume, getting it done. No triple raid bombardment excitement in game 1. A reminder that the other 2 quarterfinals see Andrea Girola of Italy, the 18-year-old, up against Japanese player Katara Otsuka for level 6, and then Noah Swartz of the United States up against Australia's Jeremy Neiman. So those are the other quarterfinals. We'll be bringing you updates on them as we go along, and of course we will also be heading to those other matches as the quarterfinals progress. So, Paolo?
Vendetta is the token.
Yep, says I would like to keep you off some mana. So that will not cost him very much. And away it goes. Attack. And that enables Paolo to send happily the Arrogant Bloodlord in for 4 damage. Josh will refuse to trade with the Wild Heart Invoker.
Is that an Essence feed? I believe you just played. I can't see it. It's up on the top of my monitor. That was a Dread Drone.
we have a unique arrangement in that we have like 150 spotters out on the floor.
It's like al fresco broadcasting.
Al fresco broadcasting, yeah. We have open air to the audience. So thanks very much, guys. Your screen's about 400 times larger than ours. That doesn't seem fair.
Guard Gonzoa did come down for Josh.
So Pro Tour 9 for Josh Utter-Layton began Pro Tour Hollywood in 2008, and pretty neat trick when you make your first appearance to then be able to continue on tour. So many players, they play once, they come back 2 years later,
Sure.
they go away for another 2 years, they come back, and then they make a run at actually staying on the tour. Josh came in, did the business at Hollywood, and he's been an ever-present since then.
Yeah, you regularly see his name winning qualifiers when he needs to do it. He's just a really solid player. He actually had another vendetta.
So Paolo running out the removal early,
And then we're going to see an Eel Umbra.
Indeed. So +1/+1 flash, and of course that makes it totem armor. So effectively, it's just a counter spell.
Right.
It's like, I will counter your vendetta with my Eel Umbra. It goes away.
So it's a pretty tough clock here for Paulo to get through that Guard Gomazoa now. He's through both of his vendettas. He's got a corpse hatch left.
Yeah, that's going to prove
And,
pretty
the
problematic.